No, just unplug it from the heat. No, not there. Unplug it from the back. Let's see. Okay.
Hi, Paige.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me? Okay. Just making sure. Great. Thank you.
I just realized I was muted.
Everybody starts on mute, and then we can unmute later, but I forgot that I have to actually say something, so I decided I better be unmuted. Okay.
Those that don't know, Carol Traveny is director of the Swedenborg Library of the Bryn Athyn College, where the show was to have been.
And the show must go on, so here we are.
Yeah.
Let's see. And we've got quite a number of people coming in. Excuse me a minute.
Now, Carol is serving two functions. She's letting people in, and then she's going to let me be the host so that I can share the screen and hopefully show you some of the slides.
It's 1 after 4. We have 18 people. 19. Hang on. So I will give it another minute or two, and then we will get going.
And for all of you to know, I have my new computer now halfway installed. But since I have a new computer, it can do the backgrounds. So
yeah.
behind me is the joining of the rivers in Manaus, Brazil. On the back is the dark Rio Negre, which is darker and colder and clear and more acid. And on the right is the Amazon coming down from Peru, and which is muddier and neutral and very warmer. And it takes at least 40 miles for the river to even look like it's one river, although there still are two layers.
Okay.
And behind me in the far background, you probably can't see it, there is construction, because this was 10 years ago. They were building the first ever bridge across the Amazon. I'm not sure whether it ever got finished or not, but it was supposed to be a major way to connect Venezuela with Brazil at that time.
Okay, well, I'm not seeing any more activity for people trying to join. Of course, I will let them in if I see them after the presentation starts, but let's get going. Oh, one there, I just said it and there they are. Anyway, hi everybody. I'm Carol Traveny. As Paige said, I'm the director of the Swedenborg Library of Bryn Athyn College, and I'm coming to you live from my very tidied up studio space in my home in Pennsylvania. Welcome to the first virtual artist talk that's sponsored by the Friends of the Swedenborg Library. This afternoon, we are featuring Paige Morahan with a collection of her photographs entitled Hemispheric Contrasts. Thank you for coming. As you may know, excuse me a minute, Page's work was scheduled to be hung in the library in early March, just as the campus and the rest of the world was shut down by the pandemic. However, we still wanted you to have the opportunity to see Paige's photographs and to hear about her ideas, experiences, and artistic processes. So this, I'm sorry, I'm just letting people in. So this Zoom presentation is a bit of an experiment for us, and many thanks to everyone who helped us put it together. We hope you enjoy it. First, a few items of housekeeping. This presentation is being recorded, and because of that, I would like to have you, everybody's muted right now, but I'd like to have you continue to mute your microphones during Paige's presentation to eliminate any background noise. And there will be time after her talk for any questions. So you will be able to ask questions, to talk, and to interact with Paige after her talk. So without further ado, I am going to attempt to switch over to Paige. Thank you.
Carol has to make me a host, which is not yet.
There, you should get it.
Okay. So now I can share my screen. And so you should be able to see the first screen, which has my logo, Pages Around the World, which obviously is a play on my name. And first, a bit about me and how I got into photography. My father was a photographer. He was a journalist and started out as a sports writer, sports photographer. And I used his old Rolleiflex for years. It had a marvelous macro lens on it for flowers. And photography has been a pretty consistent feature in my life. I was editor of our Agnes Scott College yearbook and did a lot of photography for that. And then when we started Orchard Artworks in 2001, I became more consistent with greeting cards and calendars. The cameras I use today are primarily on the left, a Canon PowerShot, which does not change lenses. However, it has a marvelous zoom on it. I got this when we went to the Amazon, to the Galapagos, and it was really quite good. And then on the right, a newer one for me, a Mirrorless Olympus, which I purchased used from a friend photographer of mine. It does have changeable lenses, has a very good macro and reasonable telephoto. So it's lighter than the Canon, I have to say. And that's very important for me. I've been fortunate that I've been able to combine photography with my career. I'm a semi-retired academic from Drexel University College of Medicine. And I've been able to use images with my lectures throughout my career. 25 years ago, I had the opportunity to found the ELAM leadership program. This is Executive Leadership in Academic Medicine program to root women to top leadership positions in medical, dental, public health, NIH, other type positions. And then that led to opening another program for the FAMER Foundation for Advancement in International Medical Education and Research. And that's how this logo came about. You don't send a congratulations card by snail mail to Uganda and expect it to get there anytime in the timely fashion. So I started creating e-cards that I would send to people. And that was kind of the start of this Pages Around the World. Also doing calendars that featured all of the countries, or continents, I should say, where we have FAMER institutes. We have FAMER institutes now in China, India, Indonesia, Sub-Saharan Africa, Egypt, Brazil, and Chile for Latin America. So this show, how did it come about? I had been taking pictures in Bryn Athyn, particularly since I moved to Cairnwood Village. We have a marvelous field right behind us, the North Campus field, and I feel like I've really gotten to know it quite well in all of its seasons. And then I wanted to contrast that with the images from the Amazon. And these are from two different places. One is Manaus, Brazil, which is in about the middle of Brazil, the largest city in the Amazon. And it's where two rivers come together, the Rio Negro and the Amazon from Peru, to make the Great Amazon. And did that trip about 10 years ago on the way to Fortaleza over here, where I went for 10 years for our Brazil Regional Institute. And then last December, I had the good fortune to join a National Geographic boat trip in the upper reaches of the Amazon. Iquitos was the town. Iquitos is the last deep water port in the Amazon. You have to go all the way across the continent to get to Iquitos. So the only way to deliver materials into Iquitos is either by ship, that long way down the Amazon, or by air. There are no roads that go very far from Iquitos. Just lots of miles of jungle Amazon River. My kind of view of photography is exemplified by this recent quote: "Observe the wilderness. There's no greater teacher. Observe yourself in the wilderness. There's no better way to notice your own smallness, incompleteness, incompetence, and divinity. We're part of this world and not apart from it." So I view my meditation often as a walking meditation, just seeing what a higher power has put before me for this day, and to see whether I can capture it or not. And the process is the most important part. So now on to the show. There are three contrasts in this show. First, there's the hemispheric contrast I've already mentioned from the Northern and Southern Americas. Then there are the vistas. So in the north, it's primarily landscapes. In the south, in the Amazon, it's primarily waterscapes. Although we were in the Amazon in Peru this December during their wet season, and the water changes 30 feet. So it's a dramatic difference from one terrain to the other each year. When we were in Brazil, they were moving from the dry season into the wet season. And again, there was a lot of water. The views, I like to take the big picture. I love the panoramic views, and I like the small details. So that's another contrast. So let's look at some of these. So here in the Northern Hemisphere, we have a landscape. So this is the Bryn Athyn North Campus field for Bryn Athyn College. They keep part of it mown, which is very nice. This is in the fall. And one of those interesting kind of looming skies towards sunset. So you had this kind of interesting light. Now contrast that with the Southern Hemisphere, this waterscape in the upper reaches of the Amazon in Peru. And you can see by these, if you notice this dark line on this tree on the right, this is how water is going to continue up, the level is going to continue up to there. So that these trees have had to adapt and have water sacs, not water sacs, air sacs, between the bark and the tree, so that they can live essentially underwater for 6 months of the year. Then if we want to compare, taking the Northern Hemisphere now, a broad vista and details. On the left, we have a broad vista of one of the fields in the North Field area. And on the far left, you can just see the bit of an interesting silo that I've taken a lot of pictures of. On the right is a butterfly, a monarch butterfly, that sitting on a little clover that I was able to capture. and particularly capturing butterflies. It's all the process, because they're moving so fast that it's just marvelous when you get one. Like I got that one with quite good detail. In the southern hemisphere, the same type of broad vista here. Again, you can see the tree with it's going to continue to be put underwater up to that watermark. The boats we were in would disturb thousands of birds. So here we have egrets and flying, and then anahingos in the water. And then on the right is a little kingfisher that I was able to capture, way off in the reeds, I should say. Now this makes a challenge when you want to capture details like that kingfisher. How do you catch the details in the broad vista, aiming for crisp focus? And the message is accept what you get and enjoy the process. I have several limitations in doing this. One, I want a light camera, so I'm not going to be using those normalist zoom lenses that so many of my photographer friends on this recent Amazon trip did. Second, I generally do not use a tripod, because I'm looking for lightness, and I don't want anything more to carry around than I'm already carrying around. And finally, in the Amazon, we were on a boat, which was rocking. So put all that together, and then you're worrying about focus and change of day, going from deep jungle to the top of the trees. So just to accept the process. So here's an example of one that came out reasonably well. So here's birds way up in the yonder, and there they are in case you couldn't see them. And here's what they look like when I was able to get them closer. And those are a pair of Hoatzin. I think they're really tremendously interesting birds with their crest. So now I'd like to let me go back a minute. So in the show, there are lots of pictures of the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere, and I'll show you where you can see those virtually. There are only two that are in the library itself, since not many people are in the library right now. And this is one of them that happens to be in the library. And this moves us to the second area of how I do my photography, and that is combining photography with inspirational messages. And this is one in the Amazon. This was the Brazilian Amazon on the Rio Negre. And I thought that the clouds just fit this passage by Emanuel Swedenborg. Heavenly peace can be compared to the serenity after storms, black clouds and thunder. And with the black cloud right there. So that's one example of, and as I said, this image is 16 by 20, and it's printed on metal, and it is in the library and available to see on appointment. Then I've also continued this type of combination. These were some images I made for our Swedenborg community.org website, which is the online Swedenborgian church I belong to. And I think the one on the right is particularly interesting. I did these to exemplify some of the key elements of Swedenborg, like respect for all religions, with his passage from Arcana Celestia. Everyone throughout the whole world who has led a good life is in the Lord's mercy and saved. And this happens to be a picture of 6 of our Famer fellows from around the world with a world map behind them. My second way of combining words and photography is in calendars. And this, you're getting a preview of the calendar for 2021, which features the Amazon, messages from our planet's lungs, which a friend gave me that idea, and I think it's really very appropriate. And we certainly hope that the fires do not destroy the Amazon. They were not burning in Peru, but they certainly have been in Brazil. So again, this is one of those birdscapes with lots of egrets flying on the cover. This was on the Ucayali River, where we were in the Amazon. There were two rivers, the Maranon and the Ucayali, which come together at Iquitos to make the Amazon. And then that Amazon continues across Peru and some other countries, and it meets the Rio Negre coming in at Manaus and makes the Great Amazon. And then an example of one of the pages from the calendar. This again is another passage from Swedenborg with one of the interesting flowers that we found in the Amazon. So that's a wall calendar. I also make a desk calendar. Excuse me. Again, the same color, same cover, and then this is an example of April and December. December is very typical of the Amazon. The highways are the rivers, and the vessels are primarily these very small boats. So people really want to get home by sunset because there's no electric light after that, and it's near the equator, so the sun just goes zap down. So those were fishermen heading home at sunset. And then we, of course, did see some very interesting monkeys, and this is one of the smallest little marmoset monkeys, the pygmy monkeys that they have. So that's the second way I've combined photography and words. And here is a third way. Being in this international program, I've gotten quite interested in multi-language cards. And so this is an example of love in 14 different languages. And Mandarin, Spanish, Arabic, and Hindi and English as the fifth are the top 5 languages in the world. So I wanted to feature those. And another similar, I'm trying to get this to move now. We had this problem once before. Let's see what happens. Oh, here we go. And here is another example of congratulations, a card I do a fair number of in my leadership programs. And this is a typical beach party on a weekend on the Atlantic coast in Brazil. And parabéns is Portuguese for congratulations, and other languages around the outside. So that's the third way I've combined messages. And the fourth way is to combine photography and kind of art in language cards. And on the left is a happy birthday card, which I created out of finding or making 26 letters on the sand in Sanibel Island on a visit where there were lots of whelk egg cases. And many of them were almost in shapes of letters. So I took those, and then I had to make some others like the T on birthday. And then on the right is I like to take pictures of wrought iron patterns, and they have interesting letter shapes in them. And so here's one that created joy. So I joy in wrought iron greeting card. And at this point, I'd like to mention that purchasing calendars and cards supports this international effort, which is to improve the health of communities around the world through improving health professions education. And I really do create these to honor the health professions faculty who are working in the front lines. A faculty member that I co-teach with and should be co-teaching with in about 2 weeks is in the hospital right now in Mumbai with COVID, as are 3 members of her family. Her whole hospital was turned into a COVID hospital, and even though she's a psychiatrist, she's there right on the front lines. She is getting better and told me she hopes to go home tomorrow. So certainly you can purchase these at this website, so certainly encourage you to do that and support this international effort. And then finally, the fifth way that I have liked to combine photography is to make an Art Plus card. And this is started out, one time I had a lot of extra CD cases, which those desk calendars come in. So in the CD case, if you've never looked at it, is a really marvelous easel. And so I have used those to make these I call floating flowers, where I've cut out flowers and floated them on black canvas or other interesting things. So that's my story about photography, and I'd like to thank you from around the world, and that you can enjoy this virtual show 4 ways. I have a virtual gallery of art that's a YouTube that shows you all 27 images that are available for sale. And I have a Facebook shop that shows you the individual images and prices. So either of those ways you can look at what I have in this show. And actual art, you can call me and make an appointment and come see in my apartment. And for calendars and cards, you can shop at that other e-store that I have. And certainly encourage you to follow my pages around the world to see my latest projects. So any questions? I'm going to stop the sharing of the screen and open it for questions and answers.
Thanks, Paige.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us, Bruce, from Texas. It's a one good thing with a virtual show. You can have people from all over the country, like in fact from California, and as well as here locally.
Yeah, that's great. That's really amazing.
So, any questions, anyone? What I've been up to?
Now, this is Eileen Page. I just wanted to say I so much enjoyed it, and so good to see all the different ways that we can view your efforts and your cards and all your artistry. Terrific.
Thank you so much, Paige. I know we had some preliminary meetings to set the show up, and I'm so impressed with your mastering the technology to make this happen. So thank you on behalf of the Friends of the Library. Wonderful.
Well, it took a team to do it. I think Deb had a question.
Paige, what's next?
What's next? I am working on my e-store. Today is the inauguration of my Facebook shop. So you can see the individual items on my Facebook pages around the world. And I'm working on that, and I'm not quite sure what's going to come next. So just trying to figure out how do you do art online, because that's the game these days.
It is.
We'll
figure it out.
We're glad that we do have in Bryn Athyn, we've had a craft crawl for August and September, and we will in October, but then it's going to be too cold to be outdoors. So, if anyone has any ideas, let me know.
Paige, I have a question.
Excuse me. I loved your presentation, Paige. Not only the art, but the theoretical framework and the juxtaposition of the paradoxes. It made it really interesting. Thank you for the combination. It's not only the inspirational spirituality, but it's also the theoretical framework. So thank you for that.
Thanks. It was a fun way to kind of put it together.
Mm-hmm.
So Paige, I have a question. You know, did you notice a difference in the light? Now, of course, the geography is different, but you're in a different part of the world, and was the color of the light different, or the whole thing of humidity versus dryness, or?
Humidity, certainly. We had to keep our cameras outside our rooms because it would not be good for them to be in air conditioning and then to be out.
Mm.
So we all had places to hang them up in the gangway.
Hmm.
So yes, humidity was definitely a factor. Light, you don't have the, what we call that. What do we call that kind of light at sunset? That light that we all like at sunset. You don't have that in the Amazon. It's
golden hour.
Golden hour, right? Golden hour. You don't tend to have that in the Amazon. Elisa, you've been to the Amazon. What thoughts do you have?
Actually, Paige, I have not been to the Amazon.
Okay.
The closest I got was Ecuador.
Yeah. Okay. Well, oh, that's right. You were up in the upper reaches, where I can't go anymore.
So Paige, it's Margaret Sadler. I was in the Amazon, and I was lucky enough to see the combination of the Rio Negro and the Amazon. So it was quite spectacular. And so all of your pictures, you've captured it all just beautifully. But I do have a question for you. So what haven't you tried that you really would like to? What's that secret ambition in your field that you'd really love to try? And if it's too hard to answer, don't.
I'm interested in kind of more artistic photography. I have been primarily a realist photographer.
Uh-huh.
And Judith hasn't seen them yet, but she and I went to the flower show together.
Yeah.
And that Love Sign came from the flower show. I took some interesting pictures of that flower show that were more abstract.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm interested in exploring that, and I'm not sure where it's going to take me.
Good. That's exciting. Good for you. Thanks.
Paige, I have been to the Amazon as well as the flower show. And I think some of your work is just exquisite. I really think that you do get the spirit of it. And I agree with Afaf that it's wonderful to put it into a framework, but it's just wonderful just as it is.
I am interested in the other, asking where I'm going next, in small details where you can see, you don't know really what it came from. And Carol Travany does photography like that as well. And so I'm interested in that as well. What small detail of a flower, so that you really didn't know it was a flower, can be of interest.
So Paige, is that the way that you might bring in those who are viewing your photography so that they use their imagination at the same time? So I think that's exciting.
Yeah. So we'll see where it goes. But first is getting all the online up.
Yeah. So you're conquering that. And when you feel confident with that, then you'll not have to focus as much on that.
Right.
That's good stuff.
My next challenge is moving to Lightroom and Adobe Photoshop, the license system. I've so far had the programs on my computer, but they're now 5+ years old. So I've bitten the bullet, but I have to now move to that. I see Roberta.
Paige.
Yes, Debbie.
I'd just like to applaud you, not only for the lovely presentation and your beautiful work, but your willingness to continue to explore things like selling on Facebook, et cetera, et cetera. In addition, of course, to your travels. I think it's so inspiring to have people of our age continue to go for it all the time.
Paige, I also thank you for being inspiring to those of us who aren't photographers, but you inspire us not only as we enjoy your work, but you're saying to us, now look, there must be something that you can do that will interest you. So thanks for that inspiration.
And particularly now that phones have such good cameras in them.
Right.
We had a whole class on this Amazon trip on taking pictures with iPhones. Because so many people are doing that now. Of course, I have to now upgrade my Galaxy, which is about 7 years old, so before I can do anything like that. So, thank you all for being here, and do if you're all on Facebook, come visit pages around the world and see the gallery, which is available as of today. So, and I thank you for being with us.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. We hope you've enjoyed this presentation, and we welcome your comments and suggestions, and let us know if this is something you'd like to see us do a little bit more of. We will be, as I said, we'll be posting the recording. We're still getting the details of that worked out, but you will be able to see the recording of this and a PowerPoint of Paige's photographs, hopefully on the college YouTube channel. We're still getting the details worked out about that. In the meantime, thank you again for coming, and I guess this meeting will come to the end. Thank you all.
Thank you, Paige.
Thanks for being with us.
Thanks.
And now again, I would like to really thank Carol and thank Roseanne and the library friends for the effort of putting this together. Gwen.
Welcome. Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Thank you, and thank you, Paige. It was absolutely gorgeous. I'm re-inspired.
Well, go look at the rest. You just saw a few examples. Go look at the rest.
Thanks, Paige.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.